What's up with it, YouTube? We back with another one, man. Let me tell you, this is an episode of WopSPN, you dig? And today, two things. One, we had a trade in the NFL. Two, we had the Gervonta Davis Fight Night. Now, I was going to record after I saw the initial news of the trade. DeeBo Samuels from the San Francisco 49ers gets traded to the Washington Commanders for a 5th round pick. Okay. And then I said, hold on, it's a fight tonight. You know, I could do 2 episodes, but I'm going to just knock this out and put it in one. You know what I'm saying? Gervonta Davis. I don't know Roach's first name, no disrespect. Lamont Roach. Something like that. Roach is the last name. Tank versus Roach. Good fight. Win all 12. I thought it was a good fight. But let's start off with what happened first. The trade. And the thing about the trade is, number one, I don't think it hurts the Niners all that much. You know, DeeBo was kind of a hybrid running back receiver type player, but they don't necessarily need that because they got CMC, right? They have Brandon Ayuk, who is an elite wide receiver, in my opinion. Then you have Jennings. I believe that's bro's name. Jennings, number 15 for the Niners, who's a dog, in my opinion. You know what I'm saying? So when you got them two plus Kittle plus CMC, you could afford to trade DeeBo. Now, would I have traded him for a 5th round pick? I probably would have tried to get a little more. But at the same time, a little more might not have been available, especially with his injury history and especially with the contract coming up. Somebody probably, was like, nah, I'm cool off taking that risk. The Commanders made a great trade. They have a lot of young talent. They have a great coach. They have a franchise quarterback who's only going to be in his sophomore year next year. They have a good wide receiver in Terry McLaurin. They have a good wide receiver in Brown. They have a veteran tight end in Hurts. They have a solid running back in Robinson, as well as Eckler. So, offensively, their team is looking pretty shady. With the addition of DeeBo Samuels, that just brings another dimension to their offense. They're already elite offense. They're putting up numbers all year. Jaden Daniels is a great passer and a great runner, a great signal caller, and he has great poise. And, the NFC East just got that much tougher. The Eagles and the Commanders were both in the playoffs this year, and they were both great teams. Great teams versus anybody in the league. Coached well, quarterbacked well, good receiving core, good running backs, great defenses. I mean, you can't really ask for more. Unfortunately for my Cowboys, it's looking even uglier than it was already. When DeeBo got to the Commanders, I just told myself, wow, everybody knows how to make a move but the Cowboys. I don't know what's going on with the franchise. I have absolutely no clue what our problem is with acquiring talent. I have no idea what's wrong with our draft room. I have no idea what's wrong with our general manager situation. I have no idea. I just don't get it. And now we're even further down the pecking order with the addition of DeeBo to the Commanders. Because you know what that tells me? That tells me they have belief in their team right now. Who already made it almost to the Super Bowl. They made it to the NFC Championship. Versus who? Another NFCEast team. The Eagles. It's looking real ugly for us, man. It's looking real ugly for the Cowboys. The NFC East is definitely going to be the best division in the league. I mean, the NFC North is looking pretty strong. Because the Green Bay Packers, you gotta shout out Jordan Love and his assortment of receivers, and he knows how to get the field there. And he got Josh Jacobs, a great running back, so they're looking nasty. Then you got the Detroit Lions, who we already know what they've been building the past couple of years. They've been getting better and better and better, going farther and farther. And You know, I believe if Hutchinson wasn't injured, they'd have been a different team. You know, but we can only go with what we've seen and what has happened, and they fell off. And you know, but they're going to be back next year. The Vikings weren't no slouches. They were not slouches. You know, they were solid team. And the Bears, we'll see how that goes. But as far as the NFC, definitely NFC East is the division to beat. I believe in the whole league. I mean, the Eagles just won the Super Bowl, and the Commanders are right under them. So, you know, Cowboys is looking ugly for us. But that was a great trade for, I mean, I believe it's for both teams, because the Niners do need to free up some space and free up some play calls for other players, free up some scheming, free up some cap space. So that was a good trade for them, as well as, you know, they got a 5th round pick, which is fine. And that was a good trade for, the Commanders, because they like gadget players who could do, you know, Eckler is a receiver and a running back. DeeBoSamuelsTrade is a running back and a receiver. So they kind of like the hybrid, you know, Jaden Daniels, running back, quarterback. You know, they have a lot of hybrid players who can do multiple things. And that's going to fit well into their scheme. It's going to fit well into their play calling, and it's going to fit well into veteran leadership. You know, somebody who's been to the bowl, somebody who's been there multiple times, somebody who's gone deep into the playoffs multiple times, somebody who's gone through injury and knows how to be a good cheerleader on the bench, as well as somebody who's had to hold the candle for the team when other players go down. So, you know, that was a good asset to acquire for the Commanders. I applaud them on making some acquisitions in the offseason. And, you know, there's still more time to come. We don't know what's going to happen. The draft hasn't even happened, so we don't know what's going to happen. But I just know that they got a lot better. And it just tells me how they believe in their team. So, you know, shout out to the Commanders. You know, hate the Eagles. You know what I'm saying? The Cowboys, you're letting me down. Flat out letting me down. And in more recent news, you know, the fight just ended. Just watch the fight. Good fight, in my opinion. Tank versus Roach. You know, Roach made it all the way through. He made it all the way through. He didn't get knocked down. He didn't get knocked out. So he definitely did his thing in his fight. Tank, I feel like you didn't take it as serious as you should have. I feel like you didn't put your best foot forward until later on in the fight. And then I feel like you got a little bit sloppy at times, searching for the knockout instead of setting it up or letting it come to you. And possibly should have just went ahead with a more boxing style strategy once you realized bro was taking those punches, because it was a lot of punches you were serving him, and some of them looked like they affected him, but others looked like they weren't affecting him as much. So I feel like the fight could have went differently had you spent more time boxing. You know, I've seen a lot of hands down, which was baiting. I saw a lot of talking, which was distracting yourself. You know, and shout out to Roach. No disrespect to you. You did your thing. You fought a hell of a fight. You know, you threw a lot of punches. You took a lot of punches. You kept applying pressure. You applied pressure the entire fight, which was amazing. You know what I'm saying? You faced adversity and you fought through it. You know, and I feel like you did your thing. And honestly, I think it was a fair judgment of the fight. You know, for it to be a draw, a majority draw. 2 judges scored a draw. 1 judge scored it 115-113 in the favor of Gervonta Davis. And I feel like the majority draw was warranted because of how close the fight was. And, you know, when you're going against the champ, you have to take the belt. You have to take the title. And I feel like Roach didn't do enough to take the title. He did enough to not lose, though. Definitely did that. But I don't know if he did enough to take the title. He did. If he did a little more earlier in the rounds, I feel like he could have had a chance to take the title. And as far as Tank, I feel like you gave him a chance to take the title by being lax, by being a little nonchalant, by being a little, I would say, overconfident. You know, and a lot of the punches he hit you with looked more effective than I know that they actually were. And one thing that happened that I've never seen before is somebody take a knee and not get counted. You know, I understand. Hey, look, when I hoop, I put grease in my hair. So when I hoop and you start sweating and that get in your eye, it sting, it burn. You feel me? So he wasn't making that up. I know he wasn't making that up. That's some real shit. You feel me? He just got a fresh braids. You got up greasing and moistening the scalp. So I'm sure he was sweating. It was getting in his eye. When you see him getting in the corner, you can see him telling like, hey, get my eye. Like, get this right here. Like, get the grease. And then when he got the towel, you saw the first thing he did. He went to wiping his scalp. He went to wiping his braids because he wanted to wipe the wetness off of his braids and wipe some of that grease off. You feel me? So I understand that. But in the middle of a match, I've never seen somebody take a knee and not get counted. You know, and that was lucky for him, because had that happened and they continued to score the match the way that it was scored, he would have lost. He would have lost because he'd have been down 1 point on the scorecard that he was winning, so that would have been a draw. And then the 2 scorecards that he got a draw on would have been down a point for both, and so therefore he would have lost on both of those scorecards. He would have had a loss. So he's lucky that the referee, for whatever reason, didn't count that as a knockdown. Didn't count that. You know, you can't take a timeout in the middle of the round. You just can't do that. Like, there's nothing there. If something, you can't get hurt and then just be like, wait, hold on, let me go to the corner real quick. You can't do that, bro. You gotta fight, or you gotta take a knee and take the knockdown. That's the only pause you get, is taking a knockdown. So I've never seen that happen before. So luckily for Tank, they didn't count that a knockdown, or he probably would have lost that fight just due to that, based off of the scorecards. You know, I wouldn't have been mad either way if they gave the fight to either person. So when they said a draw, I said that was fair. You know, it was a good fight. I feel like, you know, Tank definitely took a page out of the Mayweather textbook, playbook, and decided, you know, take a few rounds to observe and research your opponent. But I feel like Roach did a good job of not showing too much in those early rounds. That's what probably gave him the loss early, the losing rounds early, because he wasn't showing too much in them rounds. He wasn't giving Tank the time and the ammo to do his research. He wasn't showing him what he had. He didn't show him too much power. He didn't show him too much speed. He didn't show him too much technique. He didn't show him too much reaction. You know, so it was harder for Tank to, you know, do his homework during the rounds to figure out where he was going to pick his spots. So, you know, Floyd usually in most of his fights takes the first 3 rounds, sometimes 4, to let his opponent do what they want to do, figure out what they like and don't like, throw some feints, see how they react, and then build the rest of the fight. Build the rest of the 7 to 8 rounds, 9 rounds of what he's going to do to dismantle his opponent. And I know Tank took that out of his playbook. You know what I'm saying? He was trained by Floyd, so I know he does a little bit of that. But I don't know, man. Something was up in this fight. I feel like Tank wasn't comfortable because I feel like Roach wasn't scared. And that played a big part. Roach was not afraid to get in there with Tank. He was mixing when a lot of fighters wouldn't mix. And that's what I meant when I said earlier that he was taking a lot of shots that most fighters probably wouldn't be able to take. And I feel like Tank went away from the body shots later in the fight. He started headhunting slightly when he was doing a great job of chopping the tree down. And that's when he was controlling the fight. And I feel like he got away from it once he started feeling like, you know, he can knock him out. And at one point they had the cameras in the corner and you could hear Tank saying, I got him, I'm finna knock him out, I know I'm finna knock him out. And, you know, you could hear his trainer saying, man, focus, like, don't worry about that. Like, fight every round the way it's supposed to be fought, you know. And I don't think Tank fought the fight he was supposed to fight, and that's why it ended up in the draw. Now, he looked very upset because I feel like he sees it as a blemish on his record, and he doesn't have an L. So he's still 30-0. He just has an N1 after that. So that draw does put a little bit of on his unblemished record, you know, because everybody wants an unblemished record. But hey, he doesn't have an L. So there's no loss that he has on his record. But that's also not a win. You know, and they both said they want a rematch, and I think they will eventually have a rematch, and I think that fight's going to be bigger and better. I think both fighters are going to be better. I think both fighters are going to be more prepared, and I think that one has a better chance of ending in a knockout because both fighters are going to look at the fight differently. I think Tank is going to feel like he needs a knockout, and I feel like Roach is going to have more confidence to gain a knockout. So that might end up being a slugfest. That might end up being, and they both kind of know each other more, you know, at this point in their career. So that might end up being a little something too. So that's something to watch out for, that rematch. That's probably gonna have to happen, because I know Tank is gonna have too much pride to let that go, and I know Roach is gonna want a bigger payday and a chance to, you know, show that he can do what he believes he can do, because now his belief is skyrocketed. You have to know that his belief is skyrocketed now. He 100% believes that he could beat Tank because he didn't lose. You know, when you fight somebody who has 30 wins and 28 of them, 27 of them by knockout, and you go all 12 and you get a draw, that does something. You know, whether you believe it or not, that's going to do something for him. He's going to say, you know what, I did what 30 other people couldn't. I survived. You know, there's only one other fighter who went all 12 with Tank. You know, so I don't know, man. I've never seen somebody take a knee and not get a count. I've never seen somebody be able to pause the match, you know, without the ref saying, hey, hold on, you know, your tape needs to be redone, so cut that off, or hold on, a mouthpiece, or hold on, you got hit with a low blow, you could take a step back, or you know, a bad break and somebody goes to the corner and gets wiped off real quick as the ref is talking to the other man like, hey, don't hit below or stop clinching or anything like that. I've never seen somebody take a knee and not get counted, you know, and not be counted as a knockdown. So that was very different to see, you know. But again, I think it was a good fight. I think if you watch it over and over, you'll see that it was better than people gave it credit for. It did start off kind of slower than anticipated. For most people, not for me, because I understand the Mayweather camp. Even though Tank is not a part of Mayweather's camp, I understand Mayweather's strategy. And strategy of a lot, it's not just Mayweather's strategy. A lot of boxers do the same thing. They take a couple rounds to get adjusted. You know, it's a chess match. You know, so you can't just, you know, throw it all out there in the first round. You don't want to gas yourself out. You don't want to show everything. You know, you want to start building a strategy. So I think that was a good fight, man. And I think it's fair that it ended up in a draw. Nobody wants a draw, you know, but the way the fight unfolded, I feel like Tank controlled the early rounds, and I feel like Roach earned some W's later on. Now, you know, if you look at the percentages, Tank should have won because he landed a better percentage of punches. He landed 103 punches, but Roach landed 115 punches. So he landed more punches, but he also missed more punches. So if you're looking at the box scores with the punches, I feel like Tank should have won off of that. But, you know, again, some of them punches Roach was throwing, it looked like he was hurting Tank a little bit. So that, you know, judges have different ways of judging. You know, some judges like to judge on who's going forward, you know, who's being more aggressive. Some judges like to base it on who's more accurate. Some judges like to base it on who's throwing more. You know what I'm saying? Some judges say who's landing more. Some judges say who looks cleaner. You know what I'm saying? Some judges say who looks like their punches are more effective. You know, so all judges have different ways and methods of judging who they think won the round for what reason. You know, and for all we know, some judges could have said, hey, I think that was a knockdown. I'm gonna take a point off, or I'm just not gonna give him this round because he did that, even though he might have won that round off the punches. So, you know, it's kind of tough to determine what judges are judging based off of. You know, so again, I think that was a fair assessment of the fight. I think Tank is a better fighter than he showed tonight, and I think Roach did a good job of handling what was in front of him tonight. So I'm not mad at the decision, even though I wish it would have went one way or the other. But that just means we're gonna get another fight, and you know, to see Tank go 12 with somebody is rare. You don't see that much. So to see him fight somebody again that he went 12 with is going to be very interesting. It's going to be a lot more interesting than I think the build-up for this fight was. I think the second fight's going to be even bigger because of the magnitude of the rematch, because of the magnitude of Tank's revenge, because of the magnitude of Roach's confidence. So, you know, shout out to Tank, shout out to Roach. Put on a great performance. It was a great fight. You know, shout out to the NFL. Shout out to the Commanders and the Niners for making the trade. You know, hate the Niners, hate the Eagles just because I'm a Cowboys fan. Shout out to the Cowboys for pissing me off, for making me sick to my stomach, because we ain't doing nothing. I mean, nothing that I think is helping us right now. I don't know what we're doing. I feel like we should just blow it up and start over, or go all in. I don't know what the coaching decision that we made. I know this isn't about the Cowboys, but I'm a Cowboys fan, so it's about the Cowboys always. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to, matter of fact, this WopSPN. Shout out to Steph Curry putting up 56 the other night. Shout out to the Warriors. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to the Warriors for being the #1 most I'm finna get the crickets. I know the crickets playing. I don't know how to say it. The wealthiest franchise, or the highest grossing franchise, or the most valuable franchise. Shout out to the Warriors, man. Man, that was weak, man. Man, you know what? I need to cut this off because I was just embarrassing. The crickets all up on here. Y'all like, what's wrong with it? You stupid. But shout out to the Warriors, man. Shout out Steph Curry. He's a legend. I'm gonna end up talking about my favorite players. You know, who I think is the greatest players, my favorite players, you know what I'm saying, which is 2 different debates. But Steph Curry is definitely going up in the charts. He has to. He definitely has to. And shout out to Jimmy Butler, because I wasn't sure about how the trade went. I was pretty upset about the trade, but it's showing that, you know, he was worth it. He's putting on for us. He gives us a new look. He gives us a new vote of confidence, and definitely got to watch out for us. You know, we're not to be messed with. And when Curry's playing like this and our team is confident, we got a chance. And I saw what Jimmy Butler did with the Heat. So I have all the confidence in the world that with him and Curry, we can go just as far. So, you know what I'm saying? That's another episode of WopSPN. This your boy DoWop. You feel me? Big Wop. And I'm going to be back with another one. Holla at your boy. You understand me?